What is a dragon's favorite shampoo? Head and Smolders. What's going on, YouTube? Sorry I'm late. I unfortunately worked super late today. Over 13 hours? It was crazy. Lots of driving, lots of hecticness, but we are at the Golden Vendor inside of Hollow City to go over one of the goodies in here. So we got Banner Order and Brotherhood. So for those of you who don't know, the Order of the Hour and the Brotherhood kind of tied together thematically. And then a nice little candle thing, little ledger book. This plaque Wolf is actually very good, by the way. 25k is a really good deal for that. And then you've got another pretty good deal, an Imperial Archway. I mean, think about how many cool things you could build with something like this. 15,000 is not a bad input price. Curtains, there's actually not that many good curtains, although I would caution there's also not that many windows that need curtains. And then Rug of the Hour. Don't know if I like that. Kind of almost looks like a Yu-Gi-Oh card in my opinion. Looks a little bit silly, but overall I think the plaque, the ledger, and the Imperial Archway are great pickups either to resell or if you are looking to use them in your own home. I did get a couple comments about how much I would resell these for in the future. I would probably list this up for 20,000. I'd probably list this up for 50, and I'd probably list these up for like 25, 30. I would say the Imperial Archways would probably sell the fastest because if somebody was building something, they'd probably be buying more than one of them at once. But food for thought, and as a final kind of, you might be able to get this, is the candles. Lightings and interactables usually sell well, but it just depends on kind of how they look. This is one of those ones where I could go back and forth on. Now you can see me, and we are at our traditional Golden Vendor, which is inside our Cyrodiil campaign. You can see that I'm over at the Northern High Rock Gate to go over some of these good little items for you. And coming in at number 1, we have Engine Guardian, which drops from Dark Shade Caverns 2 and is one of the best sets in the game for support and kind of your restoration to your stamina, magicka, or health. As a fun little factoid for you, if you're interested as to why sets like these are better than sets that do things like health recovery and whatnot, it's because health recovery is nerfed when you're in Cyrodiil, but sets like these are not. So a little food for thought, and it helps kind of get you those little resources back. Overall, though, am I going to suggest that you guys buy this? No, because Dark Shade Caverns could be done blindfolded with your arms tied behind your back, so I don't think that you guys need to purchase this. But I do like to highlight sets, even if you can go out and get them easier. Next up, we have a set that I 100% that you purchase if you do not plan to farm this dungeon or if you do not have ESO Plus, because as the cool kids say, it is goated with the sauce. And this is Zons. When you deal critical damage with a light or heavy attack, you have a 33% chance to tether you to the enemy for 10 seconds. And as long as you're within 8 meters of them, which is about 15-something feet, just almost 16 feet, enemies tethered take 574 flame damage every 1 second. And this is increased by 100% per tick and are afflicted with the burning status effect. This can occur once every 20 seconds. It scales off the higher of your weapon or spell damage. Very big, very good set. This has both mostly PvE utilization, but it does have some PvP utilization that I've seen people use to interesting success. It is one of the long utilized sets that will always pair well with very specific builds and setups that people are using. I highly encourage you guys that if you don't want to farm one of the harder veteran dungeons, you can go and pick up this set. It's probably, if you're not going to get a mythical, one of the best PvP sets. Sorry, my cat's like drifting around doing her little zoomies right now. It's one of the best ones that you can get if you're not getting mythicals, and especially if you don't have ESO Plus, definitely get this monster set. I think it's probably the best PvE monster set in the game and is only outshined by mythicals. But somebody can write me an angry comment below and tell me I'm wrong. I fully believe that I'll get one or two. So next we got something that's weird. Malagalagaga's Ring. When you overheal yourself or a group member with a direct heal, you apply Maelstrom to the target for 6 seconds, dealing 33% of the overheal amount up to 3,300 as shock damage every 1 second to enemies within 7 meters. It's going to occur every 10 seconds. This is one of those sets where you look at and you just go, huh? What? What do you want me to use this for? And you just kind of think to yourself, I mean, sure, you could do something with this. It does drop from Maelstrom Arena, which is a terrible place to farm. If you're looking to get set drops from it, in my opinion, it's very long, very slow. Not a set that I can recommend that you guys would use. I lean towards the only thing this could be used for really is 4-man content, PvE type stuff. I don't think that this could be a set that's utilized for PvP because it could go anywhere in a big fight, and that's not going to help you. So, interesting set. Not sure what to do with it. Then we have just Plague Doctor. Plague Doctor drops from Deshaun, one of the best base game sets in my opinion. It just gives you health. No complaints. There's no red tape. It's just, here's your health. It's great. It's like Crafty Alfiq, but for health. Why I think this set used to be a lot better than what it was for selling is you also have to remember, too, with the collection system that people can reconstruct gear. They're not going to go out and buy it again. So a lot of sets like Plague Doctor that have been out for so long are already in people's collection system. And, you know, they've filled up their collection books or sticker books, as some people refer to them as. So people aren't really buying it as much anymore. Obviously, this is gold. We do have the Pinting Ghoul jewelry changes, so we do have to keep those in mind. However, if you're looking for a very good set that has a lot of utilization, I think Plague Doctor was a set that was actually recommended to a lot of players when they're getting into Arena. So I could see Plague Doctor potentially being utilized for farming the Endless Archive, which, as a reminder, will be available to everybody. So that could be an interesting set choice because generally, you know, a lot of times people think PvP or PvE. You know, for PvE, you just want to deal lots of damage. It doesn't matter what your health is because you just need to, you know, deal damage. You got tanks and everyone healers to keep you alive and keep all the stuff off you. And people think PvP, well, yeah, health is pretty good, but, you know, you really want to be doing procs and different things and blah, blah, blah. So where does a set like Plague Doctor fit in? And it fits in those arenas and those kind of like solo content, duo content, and some 4-man content as well. Next up, we have Crusader. When you blink charge or do a whole bunch of other things, you consecrate the ground beneath you and gain a damage shield. And you also give minor courage. These can occur every 20 seconds. So sets like these are okay. This is a Vaulenfell set. What I would say to you, though, however, is you wouldn't need to gold this. Why would you not need to gold sets like this? So let's pretend that something gives you the Tiddlywinks buff, right? Well, minor courage and the Tiddlywinks buff are always going to be a fixed amount. Sometimes they're percentages, sometimes they're numbers. Let's say the Tiddlywinks is always a 200 weapon and spell damage boost, right? It doesn't matter if you have the white version of that set or the gold version of that set. It's only the Tiddlywink buff is always going to be the same. Another perfect example of this is the Twice Born set, which gives you access to 2 Mundus Stones. You don't get a bigger effect because you have white or gold armor. It will always just be 2 Mundus sets, essentially. 2 Mundus Stones that you can combine by wearing that set. Next up, we have the Hatchling's Shell. When you take damage, you gain a damage shield that absorbs 2570 damage for 6 seconds. And this scales off your max health and can occur every 6 seconds. Why? Give you guys a couple seconds here to think about why this set is not going to be good. Well, damage shields are nerfed in Cyrodiil and are just generally not as helpful as you would hope they'd be. Plus 2, you are not controlling when the damage shield becomes activated. A lot of PvP players like to be able to activate their own shields and buffs, and when you contract that ability out to a set that's whenever you take damage, you gain a shield that absorbs, you don't really have as much control over those things. So just a little bit of food for thought. The set's not terrible. I'm sure you could finagle some sort of PvP build into this, but you'd really have to scale up your max health to be something pretty high to get a good benefit up from it, especially inside of Cyrodiil. So unfortunately, not as good set. But what I would say, though, is that we really started with some heavy hitters. Zons is a really good set, and I would put money down that Plague Doctors is going to be a set that is probably utilized inside the Endless Archive because you only get to revive a certain amount of times. Generally in arenas and solo content and what will now be duo content, you're probably going to want to have a little extra bulk because no other content do you just fail. You can always retry your bait strands and everything else pretty much as many times as you want. But if you want to make sure that you continue those streaks inside of the Endless Archive to get those higher numbers, you're really going to want to make sure that you're alive. Health does that. Having above 0 health is actually the key to being alive. But dear friends, that's going to wrap up the video. I didn't even get finishing this segment here. It's 10:02 and it's very late. I just want to thank you guys again. The whole time I'm working late, I'm like, oh shit, if I got to drive from here to here to here, get back to here, I'm not going to be able to record my Golden Vendor video on time. It's actually kind of funny that I try to plan my Friday nights around making sure that I get back at a reasonable hour to film these. So just want you guys to know that I try to put you guys at the top of the priority list, but unfortunately there were young adults that I had to assist today who were homeless, and those can unfortunately take a significant number of time, and obviously I wouldn't rush anyone through an emergency just to get home to record a Golden Vendor video, but it was in the back of my